I'd like to welcome my listeners to the Truthsayer Report, hosted by Jeffrey Hawkins. The global mission of the podcast, the Truthsayer Report, is to explore and examine historical events and how they shape current events and, most importantly, our lives. I will discuss a wide range of topics over the course of the series. I welcome your comments and your suggestions for future topics and areas of interest. Follow us at the following platforms. Email us at truthsayernews@gmail.com. Facebook, like our page, The Truthsayer Report. Twitter, at Truthsayer News. First Jaws, then Lake Lanier. Don't go in the water. We all remember the 1975 horror thriller, Jaws. The storyline was, one fateful summer, a great white shark terrorizes the local residents and tourists on a New England vacation town. The thriller had everyone in America afraid to swim in the ocean. Jaws was a fictional tale, but Lake Lanier in Forsyth County, Georgia, is a real folklore of a curse and a haunted body of water. It is known as one of the deadliest lakes in the country. First, we must learn about the horrible events which led to the curse and haunting of Lake Lanier. In 1912, on September 5th, a 22-year-old white woman by the name of Ellen Griss claimed that 5 black males attempted to assault her, but the assault attempt was foiled when her mother arrived and issued the order for the black men to leave. However, there was never any tangible evidence offered to prove the claim. In addition, a black preacher, Grant Smith, asserted that rumors in the town suggested a consensual relationship with one of the males and the female accuser. His allegations would parallel the reports that led to the Tulsa massacre. Several black Tulsa newspapers reported that the teenage white female elevator operator and a teenage black delivery/shoeshine boy knew one another and had been seen on the roof of the building. The claim that he had attempted to assault her was brought into question. Mr. Smith's claims led to his brutal beating, which almost cost him his life. A week later, an 18-year-old white female, Mae Craw, is raped and murdered. A search begins and culminates in the arrest of 3 black male suspects. Again, no compelling evidence was ever presented in court. Prior to the trial, one suspect, Rob Edwards, was kidnapped from the jail, where he was beaten, shot, and lynched in the town square. His body was placed on display via a telephone pole as 8,000 Forsyth County residents watched. Unfortunately, this was just the beginning of the future events which would soon follow. The anger and the jealousy with the success of the black residents, particularly in the town of Oscarville, will lead to some of the worst acts of violence and theft in U.S. history. The county law authorities, county white residents, and the night riders systematically, through violence and terror, forced the 1,100 or so black residents out of the county. The estimation of stolen black land ownership was over 50,000 acres. In addition, they lost their property, their businesses, their livestock, their churches, along with the abandonment of the once thriving town of Oscarville. Due to the massive growth of the city of Atlanta in the 1950s, its mayor, William B. Hartsfield, sought a freshwater reservoir and hydroelectric power to provide for his city's future needs. He enlisted the service of the Army Corps of Engineers to create and build the necessary resources. The stolen acreage was sold to the government to build Lake Lanier, the largest freshwater reservoir in the state of Georgia, under the control of the city of Atlanta and the federal government, which it still maintains. Also, Beaufort Dam was built to produce hydroelectric power under the authority of Georgia Power and the city of Atlanta. Interestingly, in 2020, Atlanta's wealthiest district, Buckhead, begins a campaign led by rich New York City transplant Bill White to de-annex from Atlanta. Their desires were to incorporate as a new municipality called Buckhead City. The leader of the campaign gathered thousands of supporters and donations. Millions of dollars were collected. The movement takes flight. Unfortunately, the campaign leader, Bill White, was unaware of the tragic events of the racial cleansing in Forsyth County. The new city's efforts died when the officials of Atlanta remind the Buckhead residents of the facts. Atlanta owns the water and sewer lines, shares control of the water rights of Lake Lanier, and the lease rights to the hydroelectric power from Beaufort Dam. Moreover, in the 1950s, Buckhead was annexed into Atlanta by Mayor Hartsfield to maintain a white majority population and to ensure his re-election. As the saying goes, what's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Or as the young people say, let me put you up on game. In February of 1987, Oprah Winfrey travels to Cumming, Georgia, the county seat for Forsyth County, to film an episode of her most popular show. Its topic was the issue of no black residents for the last 75 years and why. The story had been brought to national attention a few months earlier. A peaceful march led by a former lieutenant of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Hosea Williams, was met with violence and anger. Mr. Williams was seeking reparations to be paid to the living survivors like the payments received by Americans of Japanese descent due to their internment during World War II. Regrettably, the former black Forsyth living survivors had forcibly and illegally been removed from the county along with the loss of their land, property, business, livestock, etc. Ms. Winfrey wanted the nation to learn the history of events and give the current residents the opportunity to speak their minds. During the taping of the show, a second march was taking place with over 300 state and local law enforcement officers present to ensure the safety of all. Subsequently, Hosea Williams and a few of his supporters were arrested, and the audience roared with delight. Black people did not return to Forsyth County as residents until the 1990s. However, old school black residents of the Atlanta area have heard the legend of the curse and subsequent haunting of Lake Lanier. Since Lake Lanier's creation, over 700 people have died. The 50,000 acres of stolen land was flooded along with the town of Oscarville, which now sits at the bottom of the lake. The curse and the haunting was said to be the ghost of the murdered black residents reaching up and grabbing unsuspected swimmers and then pulling them down to their deaths as punishment. Sadly, the international famed music artist Usher had a family member swimming in Lake Lanier, and unfortunately, he was severely injured in a watercraft accident and died. The understanding of the black citizens of Atlanta has always been barbecues, beach fun, boating are okay, but never go in the water. Well, in the final analysis, ghosts and spirits may be figments of our imagination, but Lake Lanier has too much water to drink. Thank you for listening to my podcast, The Truthsayer Report. First Jaws, then Lake Lanier, Don't Go in the Water. Hosted by Jeffrey Hawkins. I would like to end my podcast with a quote from a great American writer, Carl Sagan. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Speak to you soon.